Hi, I'm Adrian.
And I'm Senia.
Welcome back to The Truth About Marriage.
Today's topic, we'll be talking about money. And you know what? Money is one of the subjects that many couples, they go at odds about. But you know what? What can we say about the truth about money in marriage?
Well, you know what? Many couples today, they have a lot of questions pertaining to money in a marriage. You know, whether or not they should have the same account, whether they should have separate accounts. You know, this is an uneasy area, but today we're going to be able to help our couples and our viewers today dealing with that particular subject.
Well, you know, money is something that everybody needed. But you know what I'm talking about? We all need money, but how we go about getting money is a question. How we go about keeping money is another question. How we go about saving money is another question in a marriage. How we go about spending money, that's one of the issues in a marriage, is how are we going to spend our money, the money that we make.
Absolutely. And you know what, in the scriptures tell us, in Ecclesiastes 10:19, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it says, you know what, money answereth all things. So therefore, when we're talking about money, money is very, very important, and God looks at money as very important. But when we're talking about marriage, everything needs to be in unity. So even our finances have to be in unity in marriage.
So honey, when we're talking about wealth, does that have anything to do with money?
Oh my goodness gracious, yes, because the scripture also talks about, that God gives the power to get wealth. I mean, so when we're talking about wealth, you want to be in a wealthy place with your finances. You want to be in a wealthy place within your marriage. But wealth is just not totally talking about money, but it's talking about your entire union. It's talking about your entire family. But today we are going to talk about money. We're going to answer those particular questions about, should you have a separate bank account? Should you know what's on my TRW? I mean, all of those things are very important, and it surrounds itself to the money issue.
You know, talking about TRWs, that's one of the things that we teach in premarital.
Yes.
Before you say I do, check out the TRW, because that will, that will expose everything that you need to know about your character, your spending habits, your saving habits. Do you owe IRS, or are you just one of those persons that,
Well, because sometimes it can be just so unfortunate that if a husband and wife are getting together and they believe that they're going into a union, and to that union that they're going to be debt-free, but the credit report is a little shaky, we have to talk about these issues. We have to be open about these particular issues.
So today we're going to talk about money in marriage.
Talking about money this week, it's a very critical area for couples, and especially now.
I would say in today's society, you're right, especially now when the economy is changing. But even with money, what we looked at even before we got married, we looked at, how much money can we bring to the table?
Yeah, and I think that that's very, very important, because as couples are planning their union, and this is very important even for engaged couples, that you need to really understand how much money is necessary based on your individual lifestyles today, and then you coming together as a union, because those lifestyles may not stop. So therefore you may have expenses that you still are going to be accountable for even within the marriage.
And even when you said that lifestyles does not stop, but lifestyles do change. Mm-hmm. Even when we started off in our marriage and we had the finance, but we realized that everything that we made, we had to put it on the table. So even when it came to our TRW, we had to sit down, pull out TRW, and look at it and see, is this going to work for us?
Or do we maybe necessarily need to work on a few issues before we make that bond and make that covenant commitment as husband and wife?
And that's one of the things, we have to be honest with each other.
Right, honesty.
And what way to be honest with one another than to pull a TRW to see what character this person is, what spending habits do they have.
Well, you know what, that kind of takes you right back to, an episode ago that you were talking about when Adam and Eve, they were both naked. They were not ashamed. So it comes down to, even with money, once you look at that TRW, are you ashamed of something that's on that TRW? I believe within a union that you have to support one another because you may have made some mistakes in the past, but it's nothing that cannot be corrected as long as the union is working together.
And that's true, because when I look at it, as far as money is concerned, what you have is what you have. What you have to work with is what you have to work with.
So what are you saying? Are you telling me that I can't spend on a higher price department store budget when I need to be at a lower price budget of a department store?
You know what, honey? That's exactly what I'm saying. Because if we're going to make it in today's society, we have to know when to spend and when not to spend. What to spend on and what not to spend on. Because when we look at it, we overspend. The majority of couples today, they overspend. They think that they have to spend everything that they have, when really, honestly, they really don't have to spend.
No, because you need to be able to keep those reserves. Even as any company would keep a reserve, I believe that within a union, as a husband and wife in that household, you need to keep a reserve so that when things do happen, that you'll have something to draw from.
Hello, ladies. We're back again. And we're talking about money today. Money is one of those subjects that we talk about, but do we truly have an understanding as ladies, as women? Do we have an understanding about money? I know growing up that we were told to make sure you keep a stash just in case. Just in case he bail out, at least you will have your stash under the cover, under the pillow, in a closet, in a shoebox. We were told that growing up, but you know what? That will cause division. So I'm here to talk about no separation as far as money is concerned in your marriage. You should be open and honest with each other as far as your money is concerned. It's not your money, it's our money. And that's the way we have to look at it as far as even getting ahead with one another, even getting ahead in the future. We have to talk about money issues, how we're going to handle it, and be open and honest. Please, you will be helping yourself when you're talking about money. It's our money, and you will see the blessings and the manifestation if you do it God's way.
So that brings up a point that I want to say here when it's talking about dividing your money. I know we don't think that you should divide your money. That, like you said, all the money should come to the table. You sit down, everyone understands the budget. You know exactly what you have to spend this month. You know what your major goals are going to be for the year, so that you can save up for those particular items, such as a vacation or purchasing a new car or whatever that is. So it's bringing the money to the table, creating a budget for yourselves, and then the next thing is staying disciplined to that budget.
And that's important, staying disciplined, because when we look at discipline, it's discipline throughout finance,
Today we're talking about money, and as we're talking about money, we need to really talk about the success of it. If we really want to be successful with our money and in our households, we have to open up the table. We have to lay everything on the table about our money. We have to make sure that our wives know exactly how much money we make. We need to know exactly how much our wives make. And then we need to make sure that we put a budget together. When we're talking about success with money, and the reason why many couples fail with finances is simply because they're dealing with separate accounts. We talked about separate accounts earlier, but also you need to know, once you blend those accounts together, now you know exactly how much money you have coming into the household. And with that, now you're able to budget line by line, you're able to plan, you're able to build a household. So when we're thinking about that, you need to know that finances is very important, and it's going to make sure that you do have a successful marriage. Finance, you have to believe me that when you're talking about finance, you got to be successful at it. And the only way that you can be successful is that everyone, the husband and the wife, that they understand every dollar, every cent that's brought to the table, every penny that's spent. you need to make sure also that you give each other an allowance. Many times we fail within our finances simply because everybody's spending money, but nobody's being accountable to the finances. Once you make your wife accountable, once you make yourself accountable, and now you're not just referencing from your own knowledge of how you should utilize your money, that's when you're going to be successful. I'm here 20 years later, 25 years later, and we are successful with our finances simply because we brought everything together in unity.
And we're talking about being disciplined. You know what, honey? It's okay if you don't agree with me when I say something as far as what we're going to purchase. You know, that goes back to communication.
Yes,
we
it does.
have to talk about these things. Are we going to purchase a home?
Yeah.
Are we going to purchase a new car? Are we going to have enough money to send our children to college? Now that's the key, because it's not about our money. When we have children, it's about what are we going to invest in our own children when it comes to finance.
And I think really too also we need to keep in concerned here is that the money is not ours.
Right.
So when we think about money in marriage, the money doesn't belong to us.
Mm-hmm.
The money belongs to the Lord, and He has made us stewards of the finances that He has given to us. And God really expects for us to handle that money. We need to plan the cost. We need to make out a plan, know where the money is going. So as these action items comes up for couples is, number one, every couple within a marriage, you need to document a budget. You need to follow that budget. You need to work together and create that particular budget. Don't take the money and divide it, but bring the money together in unity.
So it's all about counting the costs.
Counting the costs, absolutely.
Counting the costs. Well, this week has been a very enriched and enlightened subject of conversation. And I'm going to say, please join us next week on The
Truth About Marriage.